What's up guys, Lazy Goldmaker here with another video, and today I'm trying to do something a little bit new. We're gonna go over a market and talk about why it works. So I'm obviously titling this why it works, and today we're gonna take a look at a flipping market that sort of exemplifies the absolute peak of why flipping can work on an item. And it's obviously our good friend that many of you will be aware of, Monelite ore. This has been a staple of flipping for me across all my realms this year in particular. Ever since BFA ended, this item has been perfect, and we'll take a look at why. So the first thing we want to look at is obviously to when you're considering an item for flipping is what is it used for. So we'll take a look at the Wowhead page for Monelite ore. So let's bring it up here. So this is Monelite ore. Monelite ore. It's the common ore from BFA. And the relevant page here, this is something you should be very well aware with, is the reagent 4. Reagent 4. So this will give you all of the recipes that have Monelite ore as one of the reagents. Now we could go through, of course there's multiple ranks and stuff. Now I know exactly what I'm looking for. Like, one thing to note, all the expansion gear will only sell as transmog, which means it will only sell very slowly. Like most of these mono hardened stuff, this stuff will probably sell, but not particularly fast. Not particularly fast. And then you have all of the engineering stuff that's worthless. So obviously you need to be able to tell what's actually relevant. There are some relevant recipes here. The Mechantula, this is a pet, companion pets, they sell, always, but they sell slowly as well, and this one only requires 10. So this isn't why people are buying Monelite ore, but they are buying Monelite ore. Well, why are they buying Monelite ore? Well, these hoof plates, now we're starting to look at something that is a little bit useful. It only works in Colty-Ras, but I think they're used, if I remember correctly, one of these is used in one of the mount equipments that people still buy. But the big one is right here, the Monolite reinforced chassis, and then also the supercharged engine. This is the main thing people use Monolite ore for, and I know this because I used a lot of Monolite ore to craft those two items myself. The chassis and the engine combines to become a mount, and mounts always sell. Mounts is the number one, the best cosmetic items to sell. Are mount, and I have a ton of mount sales on my main retail realm. I've sold a lot of ATVs, and I have a bunch of materials. And I noticed that there were very little Monolite ore available on the auction house, way less than I could use crafting ATVs and selling them. And that's why I found this market in the first place. But as we'll see here, the chassis requires 75 Monolite ore. And the supercharged engine requires 100. So every time you're crafting one of these, one mount, you need 175 Monolite ore. So that's quite a lot of Monolite ore. And that's just one mount, and these mounts sell really, really quickly. If I'll just show you my my ledger, I'll have to go to all time to find the ATVs. So you can see here, when I was posting these regularly, you can see here that I sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mounts within a period of 11 hours. I was selling 10 of these mounts per day, pretty much. That's how fast these were selling. Or 10 of these in a 2-day period, as you can see here. And it was just selling so fast when I was reposting actively. So this mount is selling incredibly quickly. The average daily sold is 0.84 right now, but I'm on a high pop realm. You might also notice that I have a bunch in my bank. I haven't bothered posting them lately because I don't think the price is high enough to justify it. But that's beside the point. So this sells really well. I've sold 93 of these, and I haven't posted them for months. This is a fantastic item. So what does that mean? It means that in one day, I might go through as much as, well, this is 5, so it's a little less than 1,000 ore. That's what I could go through in a day. Now let's go to the auction house. We'll go on the normal auction house because it's easier. Monolite ore, 3,000 available. 3,000, and we know that I could sell 1,000 ore worth of ATVs in a day on this realm if I wanted to. So I'd buy out this, and this would last me a week max for crafting this. And that's why this is a great flipping market, because look at this. I almost bought out the entire auction house value. Now also there's the fact that people are very willing to buy this mount, and it sells really well. That's the main thing. So I'm willing to buy all of this essentially to craft mounts, because I need the ore. I'm not going to farm it. No one's farming this actively. You can tell this by the auction house. The spread is very large, like you have large gaps. No one's really farming this actively. If we compare this to, say, a lithium ore, for instance, where there's 27k available, and it's the price gaps are not as large in general, and there are some like absolute, although most of it, there's a lot of auctions here, a lot of them spread out, and then for Monelite there's very little. So this is why Monelite ore flipping works, because it's farmed in small quantities and posted in small quantities, and posted by people who don't understand the value. Because if you're just getting into the game right now and just farming in BFA, farming mining as you're leveling your first character, you might not understand why or what value Monelite ore has. You'll just be like, I'll just throw it on the auction house. It'll give me some gold. Maybe I'll be able to pay for my epic flying, so I can start zooming around while leveling. And that's really where the most of the people who are generating these items, that's where they're coming from. And I know, I mean, you can see that from the tooltip here, you can see that I've had an average purchase price on this realm of 10 gold, and I've sold 7,000 with an average sale price of 13 gold, so I made a little over 30% flipping. Although I've spent most of my ore on crafting. I've done the same thing on many different realms. And it works. It does depend a little bit on the ATV price. Like, I probably wouldn't be willing to buy at 24 gold, because the ATVs aren't expensive enough to make that worth it on this realm. But people are willing to pay 20 gold for this, so that's the only way to get it. And it's so easy to reset the price. This costs me 47k to buy out effectively the entire auction house on one of the highest population EU realms. So that means that this is just an item that's very easy to reset, and when someone needs it, when someone wants it, they need a lot of it. And as long as the ATV price is high enough, they're willing to pay 20-30% extra. Like, for a while I was paying quite expensively for Monelite ore, because even though the Monelite ore was expensive, I was still making 3,000 gold profit or something like that for every ATV I sold. So it was still worth it, even though the margin, or even though the price was high, it was still worth it. Interestingly, due to the recipes, if we'll go back to the recipes here for the supercharged engines, they require a lot more Monelite than they do require platinum ore and storm silver ore, which are the rarer ore types from BFA. But in practice, these are much more common and much worse to flip, because they're not used in as large quantities. So storm silver ore, actually storm silver ore could work well, but on many realms there's a lot of storm silver ore available, and there's definitely a lot of platinum ore available, because platinum ore is barely used for anything. So platinum ore is dead cheap, and you can see here there's 84k available. So I could maybe flip like this up to 8 gold, maybe, but when someone has this much available for sale, flipping is a very risky business. So Monelite is the best one because it has the highest volume, the highest sales volume, because people need the most Monelite ore. So that's going to be the hardest one to get, because no one is target farming BFA zones, and you can't even target farm Monelite. You'll just go around and you'll get Monelite spawns and storm silver spawns, and you'll pick them up. And that's that, and people just need a lot more Monelite ore to craft the ATVs than they need storm silver. So you get a generally speaking, Monelite is more expensive and easier to flip, because it has even more streaky supply and demand, or particularly demand. Is like no one's buying, someone's buying out half of the auction house, the entire auction house that's reasonably priced, and then the price goes up, and anyone who wants to get some Monelite ore now will have to pay more for it. So that's really the why of it. The why is really that there isn't being farmed enough Monelite ore. There isn't being farmed a lot of Monelite ore by people. So generally speaking, people undervalue their Monelite ore because they don't understand why that it is valuable, or how valuable it is, or how you can price this item effectively. So for instance, if I had farmed Monelite ore on this realm right now, I would probably overcut and post it either at 80, maybe at undercut this 119 gold, or if I'm greedy, just undercut the 24 gold one. You still have a good chance of getting the sale. A good chance of getting the sale. I took advantage of this in my NA 0 to Hero series. When I was selling the Monolite ore that I farmed when I had mining, and I've obviously been flipping Monolite ore there as well because it just really, really works. And it is the perfect item for this. You're looking at something that has huge swings in supply. We can take a look. If we pop open the Undermine journal for Monolite ore, we'll see some interesting things here. So this is the daily summary for my realm. We can look at like the last month, and you'll see here as well. Boom, auction house ran out, and price is now expensive, and there's not much available. And the same here, we have price spikes, quantity goes up and down and up and down. This is just for Draenor on EU, which is a very high pop realm. If you look at the random lower pop realm, I'm sure we'll see even more variations. Just look at this graph on a daily basis. It's like barely 2,000 ore available, which is enough for about 10 mounts, and you can sell 10 mounts fairly rapidly. And you can see here as well the quantity ever since Shadowlands launched in November. Before then, there was a lot of ore available, and since then, there's been a lot less ore, and it's the quantity and the price is extremely variable. It has peaks and lows all the way. So this is just indicating that this is a perfect item to flip, because you can consistently find it cheaper and sell it for more expensively. This is what happens to this item. And you can understand why as well if you look at what it's used for, and you can understand what it's primarily used for, which is going to be the ATV. Because for old expansion materials, old expansion items, the power level is going to be, at least from my experience, mounts, fastest seller, most popular, and then comes transmog battle pets. They're probably the same level. I honestly don't know because I barely bother with it. But mounts sell consistently well. Crafted mounts sell consistently. They have done for a very long time. People who start caring about farming cosmetics, they usually go for mounts first. I don't know why. I'm the same way. It's the only thing I really farm for cosmetics is mounts. And that's just what it is. So yeah, that's sort of the case study of Monolite ore, why it can be flipped as successfully as it can. And it's a combination of the fact that you need a lot. It's used in a very useful item. It's farmed in very small quantities at the moment, and it's used in fairly large quantities and can be sold profitably in fairly large quantities. So there will be large swings in the amount of Monolite ore available on the auction house when someone comes along to buy. And that just means that you can take advantage of that and buy when it's cheap, because people don't understand the value of Monolite ore. So hopefully this was enlightening. I'm not going to tell you exactly. Well, I have written a post about exactly how you can flip Monolite ore as well. I'll put that in the description. So if you want to do this, take advantage of this item, then you can check that out. It's very easy to flip. It's probably one of the safest flipping markets to get started with right now, at least in my experience. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's 100% safe. Flipping is always a gamble, or it's always not necessarily always a gamble, but you're always taking on risk. So you have to be willing to live with that. If you do, then check out the post and try it out. Otherwise, if you just was interested in the why of this market, hopefully you learned something. Leave a like, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you on the next video. Goodbye, guys.